And now we've got this 22-year-old kid
Oh,
in
yeah.
charge of domestic terrorism on our soil.
Yeah.
And
Let's hope
we're
he's
now in a
a
war against
genius.
a terrorist nation.
Let's hope he's a genius. Yeah.
God,
Maybe he'll surprise us.
he's just a random kid that was involved with the Republican convention and,
Yeah.
supporting the campaign.
Yeah.
He's a nobody. He is a fresh out of college with a bachelor's degree kid.
Yeah. Well, I guess they figure that, it's a non-job. Nobody's going to attack the United States anymore. We've got all these TSA agents who are making everybody take their shoes off and empty out their water bottles and stuff. So this just like terrorism's never going to happen.
We're screwed.
Yeah.
We're so screwed. Welcome to another episode of the Bloomburg Democrat. I'm Sally Taylor. This is my darling younger brother, John Daniels. We are here to talk today about the most pressing current affairs in the world, and that is the attacks on Iran by both Israel and the United States, as well
Yeah.
as some responses back, of course, from Iran, as would be expected.
Yeah.
What do you know about this mess, John?
It's a tale as old as time. People have been
True.
fighting for forever. And Iran hates Israel. Israel hates Iran. Israel is a nuclear power. Iran wants to be. Nobody wants Iran to be because for some reason devastation will happen, even though devastation never
Lots.
happened as people have
Right.
gained nuclear arms. I mean, it's just a deterrent, essentially,
Right.
right? It's how you keep your country from being bombed or invaded.
Right.
And so the people with nukes don't want anybody else to have them because then they lose their power or their power is diluted. And the people without them want them because they want to feel secure in their borders.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
basically how I see things. Hmm.
There's really only one country that has ever used a nuclear bomb.
Oh, yes, and that's us.
That's us.
Yeah.
That's the United States. And yes, it because of the devastating effects of that event,
Right.
it has never been used again by any country. I
Right.
think not only because they recognize the horrible impact on humanity as a result
Hmm.
of that use, but they recognize it can be used in retaliation
Right.
against them as well.
Right. And this
And
principle,
so,
this deterrent principle is called MAD, mutually assured destruction, and it's
right,
what makes having nuclear weapons a stalemate. And nobody attacks anybody because nobody wants to be attacked because everybody's going to die.
right,
So,
right.
yeah, I'm okay really with Iran getting a nuke. I'm okay with anybody getting a nuke as long as it's like an actual country that can feel the repercussions of using it. If it's a non-state entity, they're probably best not having nukes, right?
Right. Right.
If you don't have a
And
home that you care about,
right.
then
Right.
you might be capable of anything.
Yeah.
But if you have a home that you care about, then you're probably not going to want to see it burn.
Right. Well, there are those individuals too that are more than happy to die in the process of harming somebody else. They don't care
Yes.
also whether or not they have a home. I agree about the benefits of mutually mutual just the ability to mutually destruct each other, in that it does deter people.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's a great idea to have more and more nuclear weapons all over the place,
No,
because
I completely
somebody
agree.
is going to misuse them, right?
Yes,
uh,
yes.
Here's the problem though. Iran probably doesn't have nuclear weapons yet, and is probably not close to it yet.
Right,
Our
right.
own our own intelligence agencies have said they
Yeah,
do not.
yeah,
And yet we have a president that's more than happy to go over them, around them, and say, "Oh yeah, 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 they do. They're about to have it now."
Yeah, well,
and without any evidence to
this is
that
what
effect.
Netanyahu has been saying for many, many, many years.
Years,
Yeah,
years and years.
they are a few months away. They are a couple weeks
Right,
away, and then that was 10 years ago. So,
right, exactly.
yeah.
And in modern history, meaning post World War II,
Hmm.
how many wars, and I'll just call them straight out wars. I don't like it when they're called military actions or any of these other things, because
Yeah, no, no.
that's just language, right? How many
Right.
wars have we gotten into where the leaders told you the truth about why you were in those wars?
Oh, probably none of them.
None of them.
None of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is another instance where it's the same. Saddam
Yeah.
Hussein, we were all told that he had weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah.
He did not. We did not find them anywhere.
Yeah.
The Americans were mad because we had been hit at 9/11,
All right.
right? And they were mad.
Mm-hmm.
And the people in charge knew, here's an opportunity while Americans are angry and want
Mm-hmm.
retribution to
Mm-hmm.
go after a country or leadership that we want to topple anyway.
Right.
And so they used that
Yeah.
as the excuse.
Yeah. Yeah, they did.
This is the same thing.
Yes.
This
Well,
is
this is
exactly the same.
the beginnings of the cause of the modern version of 9/11, right? I mean,
Right,
why did Osama bin Laden want to attack us? Well, it's because we were over in Afghanistan shooting people up, right?
right,
And so now we're going to ask ourselves in possibly just a year or less, maybe, or more than that. But if Iran decides they're going to do something and they do it with whatever preparation time they need, are we going to be asking ourselves, why did they do this? Right? And then are we going to be able to justify another fake
right.
war? A
They're
fake war, not a
already
fake war, but
thinking about that.
a war on
Yeah,
fake premises.
right. Well, and they're already considering that, because it's like, yes, we've just hit you. We've just destroyed these 3 sites. Or, not, whether or not they're destroyed is debatable, maybe, but
Right.
we just hit these 3 sites. Don't escalate it. Don't come
Right.
back at us, because then we'll have to
Right.
do it again. Right.
Right. That
It's
doesn't make
just
any sense.
insanity. It's
Yes, it is.
absolute insanity.
Yeah. Who in their right mind would say, "Oh yeah, sure, sure, sure. We don't mind if you bomb us every now and then. Go ahead.
Right. We'll just sit
Feel
here and take
free.
it.
Yeah, feel
Right.
free.
We wouldn't accept it
Of course not.
as American citizens
If
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 somebody
Osama
attacked us on
bin
our own
Laden,
soil.
exactly. If after 9/11 Osama bin Laden had said, "And there, and take that, and don't you forget
And
it," but it's over now, right? No,
right.
no.
Don't hit us back.
Don't hit us back. We're done.
Yeah.
We just wanted to make our point, and now everything's okay. It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we would not have accepted that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So the other question is what is the root of all of this activity? And I know it's a very complex question to ask,
Hmm.
but the information is available. And I was telling you earlier, I was watching a young man give a synopsis history of what's been going on in the Middle East and
Hmm.
what's been occurring with the long ongoing wars that are
Hmm.
happening in that area. And ultimately, it all comes down to who benefits, who's making money off of it,
Hmm.
and oil.
Yeah.
And those things are only controlled through regime changes,
Yeah.
because as 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 regimes get embedded and gain power within their own countries and then begin to make agreements with other countries,
Hmm.
the folks who were making all the money off of the instability that is there suddenly stop making as much money,
Right.
and they don't like it.
Yeah.
And so they destabilize it. There has been an ongoing, again, decades long
Hmm.
plan. And I'll add the link to this young man who did this overview to the video, because it's worth a watch. It's about an hour long, but I watch things on double speed. So if you need to, you can make it half an hour long, right?
Right. Right.
If you can listen quickly and take in the content.
Mhm.
Um, he gave a really good overview of it, and describing the way that there's a general even in the US that said there were 7 countries that they wanted to basically overturn, have regime change for. And they had, I think it was maybe like a 7-year plan, 5-year plan, something like that. It's in the video, for getting this done. Well, they didn't do it in quite that amount of time, but they had done 6 of the 7 countries that were listed. Guess who's on the tail end of that list?
Iran, I guess, huh?
Iran.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it is just the finishing up of this list, because all of the others have already occurred. So what should Americans be doing, John?
Well, who's the people that were making the plan? I haven't seen the video yet. I
So
watched
it
maybe just a
was,
little bit
I'm
of it.
sure it was multicultural, but it's primarily the United States. And with, I'm certain, the
But like
participation
who
of Israel.
within the United States? Because we have, well, I mean, we have two parties with often very drastically different ideas, but on money they tend to agree.
On money,
So
they tend to agree. And
yeah,
you know, to be honest, who controls our government in the US? Really? Who controls it at the top level? It's not the American people.
well, no,
At least they're not
we're not a
utilizing the power
democracy.
of their voice. We are not a democracy.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so it's the United States along with other ally countries, but I would predominantly say the United States and Israel.
Hmm.
And of
Was
course,
this like a
Israel's the one
NATO
that's,
a NATO resolution? Not
I
necessarily
don't
a
believe it's a
resolution
NATO
because that would
resolution. I
be
think it's,
that would be
yeah, I
public,
don't,
but
right. No, I will, like I said, I will add the link to this. You really, I'm
okay,
not
okay.
going to state things as clearly as he did, because I did just watch it this morning on double speed.
Okay.
But it was a worthwhile listen because
So is
it
this
gave you
different
a
from
good
the
overview.
sorry. Is this
Oh, that's
different from the
okay.
video you sent to me before? Because I started to
This is a
watch that
different
one.
one.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
no,
started to
this
watch that
is a
one and then
different
I
one.
went
I'll
back to
send
work.
you this one as well. It'll be worth a watch. We might talk about this again after you've had a
Okay.
listen. But ultimately, you know, throughout human history,
Mm,
it's always been a matter of power and resources, hasn't it?
yeah. Yes. Yes, it has. And I guess now we're fighting for oil, but I think eventually it's going to be fighting over water, fresh water, um, because that's something that we seem to be squandering as quickly as we can. But yeah, so this is something that has been happening for a very long time and it will continue to happen. It's going to keep going.
Why do you think the Middle East specifically, and this is again, I think it's actually kind of an easy question to answer if we think about it just briefly, but why do you think the Middle East specifically has continued to always be an ongoing hotspot?
Well, definitely oil, of course. Um,
Sure.
I don't think it's camels. Like, there's not such a high demand for camel oil or anything like that. I mean, it's
I
just got
think
to be
it's
crude,
both
right?
oil and it's oil, the ability to transport that oil, because it's
Mm-hmm.
got some bottlenecks
Mm-hmm.
for actually getting the oil out of the region.
Right.
And then again, of course, the money and the control of money. So one of the things again that this young man was speaking about
Mm.
was the the dominance of the US dollar
Yeah.
in purchasing oil. And so
Yes.
oil has largely been traded on the US dollar, with the US
Yeah.
dollar. But with the
Yeah.
rise of BRICS, now China is actually buying oil with Chinese funds,
Yeah.
right?
Yuan, I think it
And
is, right?
yeah, yes, the yuan, thank you. Yeah, something like,
I don't know
I
I
would
don't know the
pronounce
correct
it improperly.
pronunciation. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yuan,
Juan, maybe
I
Juan,
don't know.
Yan, I don't know.
I know Korean money is called won, and so often they are
Forgive us.
cognates.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Forgive our mispronunciation of foreign
Yes.
currencies.
Yes.
But
I
anyway,
never
so
heard it
now
pronounced.
China is buying it with Chinese money, right?
Right. Right.
Which basically devalues the dollar.
Hmm.
There's also a growing alliance between China and Russia
Hmm.
and their oil markets and the
Well,
manipulation of it from that side. So all of this
yeah.
is about control.
Yeah.
And the people who want that control are willing to destroy lives in the process.
Well, Russia seems like they're willing to provide Iran with nuclear arms. Have you heard this news?
No, I haven't. Tell me about that.
Well, I was just watching a little YouTube earlier, and a new video on a particular channel that happened to pop on my feed. I don't remember the name of it. Um, was a guy talking about how Russia has released a statement. Not maybe not Russia officially, perhaps not, but it was a high-ranking minister who said that the United States is making mistakes, and there are now people who are willing to supply Iran with nuclear arms. And so this commenter was suggesting that he was implying Russia, but it could be others as well, right?
Yeah,
Russia has a direct interest in that they're receiving most of their drones from Iran. So any disruptions in the region are going to affect Russia's ability to wage war in Ukraine. And so, anyways, yeah. So basically, the stated reasons for bombing Iran have now gone up in smoke. It just didn't even work at all. In fact, if anything, it hastened their ability to acquire nuclear arms, right?
right.
Because if they
Right.
were doing it
If
on their
another
own,
country, right, they
and we
might have
were,
been years still.
yes, and we were currently in a peace treaty with Iran until recently, wherein that they were promising that they would not create nuclear arms.
And allowing us to inspect to ensure that
Yes,
that was occurring.
yeah,
But that agreement had Obama's name on it.
yeah.
And guess who can't tolerate somebody else's, especially if it's a Democrat's name on a treaty?
Well, that would be every Republican ever.
Right. But primarily one
Mr.
with a
Trump's there.
narcissistic,
Yes.
malignant
Yes.
personality style, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that did a world of hurt.
Yeah.
And
Well, so I don't know. It was what, Friday, I guess he said he was going to make the decision in within 2 weeks' time. And my
right.
initial thought was, there's no way he's going to wait a whole 2 weeks. Like,
No.
he doesn't have the patience, and he's already decided.
Well, everything in his mind is 2 weeks away. Our
Yes,
health
yes,
plan is still 2 weeks away. The great,
yes.
wonderful health plan that he's promised for how
Yep,
many years? 10 years is still two
exactly.
weeks away.
If it's not within 24 hours, it's 2 weeks.
It's 2 weeks, right?
Yep.
Exactly. Um, and I'm sitting here laughing as if all of this is funny, and it's really not.
It's not.
Uh, I mean, you
But
laugh or
you
you
gotta,
cry.
you gotta exactly. You gotta find humor in things, otherwise you're just gonna be miserable.
Well, it's the absurdity. It's the
Yeah.
absolute absurdity. Like I said, it makes you either laugh or cry. What do we think is going to be the net effect? I always like to project into the future.
I think the United States are probably going to get into another quagmire, and I think that someone is going to give Iran nuclear arms, and perhaps at that point we will extricate ourselves from the quagmire as quickly as possible. But I'm afraid the crazies that we have are going to probably decide, let's let's Team America this bitch, and we're going to take care of those nuclear arms before they have a chance to use them, and then that's probably going to, in worst case scenario, that would end very poorly. But I don't think it's going to go that direction. So
I'm a bit more concerned. I agree with you
just
about the
spitballing,
quagmire. Yeah, I agree with you about the quagmire. But Iran they don't fight the way that we do,
right?
in that they work in a way that we call terrorism, right?
Right.
I mean, war is war is
Guerrilla
war,
warfare. Yeah,
right? It's more
guerrilla
guerrilla
warfare.
warfare.
Yeah.
And I think we put ourselves at a much higher risk of them bringing the war to us on our own soil
Yeah.
through
Yep.
more
I think so.
terroristic type forms of attack.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although I would claim what we do is terrorism as well. It's
Yeah.
still war. I
Yes.
mean, the
I
whole
mean,
point is to terrorize a people.
the bad guy from your point of view is always a terrorist, or, the bad guy. And so
Right.
whoever just happens to be the person you're fighting with at the time is the bad guy. And so
Right.
for us, it's them, but for them, it's us. And
Right.
I mean, if you buy into all of this, I don't think
Right.
they're bad guys, even though
No, I don't
I
either.
am really not in support of theocracies personally. That's just not
Well, me
my
either.
political slant. But I
Right.
don't think, well, I mean, the people that they're having issues with, that they're fighting, that they're killing, are the people who have issues with them, who are fighting them and killing them. So, you
Right.
know, if you don't get involved, you're not gonna regret it.
Right.
And
Well,
if
and the
you're
thing is,
involved and you uninvolve yourself, you're not gonna regret it.
I agree, but you can't get involved and not expect retaliation. And that's
No,
why
of
the
course
Middle
not.
East has been in war for
Right.
thousands of years, is
Yeah.
none of them can stop the retaliation.
Yeah.
None of
It's
them.
the yeah, it's the that old family feud in Tennessee or Kentucky or
Right.
whatever
Yeah, the Hatfields
it
and
was.
the McCoys,
Yes,
right? It went
exactly.
on for
Yeah.
generations of
Yeah, you don't
hate
even know
when,
why you're killing people.
right, you just
It's just
I grew
ingrained.
up knowing I hate these people.
Exactly.
And that's the problem. The people who will suffer the most are the individual citizens of each of those countries
Right.
who
And
have
that's what
no
I'm
beef
referring
with
to
each other.
when I mean unless you extricate yourself from the situation, right? And you
Right.
won't regret doing so. If you stop hating and you decide that okay, it's enough is enough, I'm going to forgive and forget. And enough people decide to do this, then no one's going to regret this, right?
I agree. War doesn't, it only destroys,
Yeah.
except for the people who can benefit from it, which is
Right.
going to be the military industrial complex
Yeah.
and the people at the top who want to
Yeah.
control the money.
Yeah.
That's
In modern
it.
times, it's the weapons dealers that
Right.
make money from war.
It,
The
it's the
the agents
weapons
of
dealers
death.
and the others who are controlling the industries
Yeah.
like the oil industry,
Yeah.
those kinds of things.
Yeah. Yeah. The
And
spoils of war.
the spoils of war.
Yes.
Exactly. And that's not the common soldier who's going to go over there and
No.
die for
No,
those
it's not.
things.
Or
And
get
who's
paid
going to
a few grand.
kill, right? And who's going to kill people he doesn't know who have never harmed him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. You think we're gonna make it?
I
Long
don't know,
term?
John.
Long term?
I
Are we gonna
mean,
go extinct? Because I'm starting to think maybe we will.
I like to think that we're not stupid enough at this stage to use nuclear weapons. That said, we're stupid enough to keep these wars heating up,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
keep doing it over and over and over again. And if the the general public, the people who really truly don't control any of these things,
Mm,
would stop supporting it because the leader who they know is their savior is
mhm.
always going to do the right thing. If
Right.
we would stop that BS
Yeah.
and say no more, we are not going to go to these wars.
Yeah.
We are not going to participate in them.
Well, this is what Trump has been claiming as his stance, right? He
Right.
has often tried to do diplomatic things, right? To various degrees of efficacy. But at least he claims, and it's repeated often, that he's not really interested in wars. He wants to America first, and
Right. You would
turtle
rather
up
be an
and
isolationist.
right.
Right. But let me ask you, do you think that he's actually in control of what's going on?
Oh
Or do you
no.
think he's being deeply manipulated?
Well, okay, so he's probably yes being manipulated, but do those people who are manipulating him really know what's going on? I would say that they don't really know what's going on. They're just doing something and seeing if it works, and if it does, they're happy, and if it doesn't, then they try something else. Like, I don't think there's this big master plan with genius masterminds behind the curtains laughing maniacally and rubbing their hands at their great success. I think you got some people who might even get together like cartels and stuff like that, and they're trying to enrich themselves. But is there like a secret coalition of nation states or who want to control the world and they're making big elaborate plans? I don't think so. Like people are just not that smart. They're just really not. And I don't think there's any big plan. The big beautiful
See,
bill is just a smattering of bullshit. Like
Well, it is. And
These
again,
are
that's
these are
Project
the best.
2025.
These are the best that we've managed to put into government, and every other
Yes, but
country is working with about the same stock. So I don't
yeah,
think that there's
I
really.
suspect that global governing happens at a higher level, but that's me being a little bit conspiratorial, I admit.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I
I
don't think
look at, like, at
that's really
some
going
point
on.
we do need to talk about this company Palantir. Maybe we'll
Yeah,
do that on another time.
yeah.
But there are things going on more at the global, level that include technology, include kind of, again, that 1% of the 1%.
Hmm.
So that really truly have so much that they just make a decision and snap their fingers and the world turns differently.
Hmm.
So I do think that there are some people above our governments that are still manipulating and controlling to some degree. That's about as conspiratorial as I get.
Yeah,
you know.
I'm sure that there are
But
people who are trying to,
yeah.
and but again, like
Well,
even
again,
if they're
there's
super
still the
smart, they're
minority.
dealing with everybody else who's not super smart, and I'm sure it's like herding cats.
But if you know how to herd cats because you've done
Yeah,
it for
yeah.
a long
I
time.
know. I
Because to
still.
me, that's the American public. The American public's a bunch of cats that
Yeah,
are just, running
yeah.
around having territorial fights even amongst themselves.
Right, right, right.
Uh,
And certainly some people who make it towards the top, they learn to be very manipulative of these people, of all of
right.
our cats that we have running around. And so, yeah, I mean, like again, there's varying degrees of success that these people are enjoying, but again, I don't think there's the big plan that's directing humanity. I think we're just all running around not really knowing what we're doing. Really.
Well, we are all we
We're
are
trying to
we
do
are just
stuff,
merely
but
human.
yeah, we're all trying to
Yeah.
make our plans, I guess, but it rains and your plans are ruined. So, yeah, I
So
don't
let me
I
ask
don't
you
think.
this then. I think we've just about covered as much of this with our own minimal amount of understanding. Because
Yeah.
I admit fully, I am just trying to understand what's going on. I don't claim that I actually do, but I am
No,
working
no, I
hard
don't
to
know.
try to understand.
Right. I'm an outside observer. I'm just looking at people and I understand how people tend to behave. And I
Right.
see behavior that to me registers as a bunch of narcissism and people who really don't know what they're doing, pretending like they do. And everybody else believes them just because they don't know what to do. And then these people say that they do. So maybe they do. But they
Right.
don't. They don't know.
That's a mouthful. If we can get the American people, not just the American people, the people worldwide, to basically just say, we're only harming ourselves with this destruction.
Yeah.
Think about how much quicker we could grow and evolve and support ourselves and each other
Yeah.
with all the new technologies that are occurring,
Yes. Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
actually
So
make the world a better place
there's got to be
rather
a
than,
huge revolution, a cultural revolution of some sort. There's got to be.
yeah, I agree. I
We got to
absolutely
truly
agree.
wake up. I mean, people go around saying wake up," or "I'm woke," and blah 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 blah. But I think it's just too narrow of a frame at the current time. We need to really be more aware of like everything all at once, and that's not easy. But yeah.
I'm gonna throw one cynical thing at you. One cynical
Uh-huh.
thing for how Trump jumped into this fray. Shortly before this occurred, he had a military parade
Yeah.
that seemed to hurt his feelings about
It
how
did
it
seem to
went.
hurt his feelings, but he was very happy about the weather. It didn't rain.
It didn't rain.
Yeah.
It was 100% chance it was going to rain and it didn't
Yeah.
rain.
It
God
didn't
must
rain.
have been smiling on him.
Yeah.
But he
Clearly.
was very unhappy with the tone of
Yeah.
the parade.
Yeah.
It was not sharp enough. It
They were
was
too
not
happy.
strong enough. They were too happy.
Yeah.
He wanted drones. He got a guy holding a drone.
Mm.
He wanted
Well,
tanks. He got
electricity
old
costs.
tanks.
Yeah.
Right? He got
Yeah.
old squeaky tanks. He was not
I think
happy
all
with that
tanks
situation.
might be squeaky though.
They might.
Exactly,
But still the optics were not good, right? There was not
exactly.
people cheering to drown out the squeak of the tank,
It wasn't a good
right?
look.
It wasn't a good look. So he was really unhappy. And that was going to be his way of showing his power,
Hmm.
showing his dominance, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Didn't go the way he wanted.
yeah,
Within a week, we were bombing Iran.
yeah,
Now the world knows his power.
yeah. Well, I'm sure that that probably helped push the situation towards the bombings. I'm sure
Yeah.
he's
Well,
highly
apparently
insecure.
we knew about all the Israeli attacks, but apparently Israel was not fully aware or pre-warned of the ones that we did. I don't know how
Oh yeah.
true that is, but I I,
Mm.
I think my husband John said he'd read something along those lines in the Atlantic. So I need to research that a little further
Mm.
and see if that's true or not.
Yeah, I
But
wouldn't be surprised. But I mean, I think part of this is we're so invested in the Israeli state, and it has become such a political playground rules, right? Where we have to defend Israel, and they're like our cause that we just cannot surrender, right?
and
Ever.
why do you think that is? Why?
There was probably some kind of like a guilt from World War II, I think, but I mean, I'm sure you're thinking it's money, but I don't know if it's just money.
Well, I mean, money, yes, but what is it that makes the American people want to support Israel so strongly?
Well, so
Because
they're just a
it's
super great
something the
ally.
American public has been.
Like we
Yeah,
we
but do we
certainly.
treat our other allies the same?
Oh, well, sometimes, not all of them.
I mean, Greenland.
Right?
We're not treating
Hey,
Greenland that
nobody's
well.
nobody's attacked Canada, so we've never really had the chance to like step up and bloody a few noses on behalf of Canada.
Right. That's true. That's
Maybe
true.
maybe it's not going to happen anytime soon either, due to the way we've been treating
Yeah.
them lately.
I think it's based in religion, John. I really do. I think
Oh
our
yes, of
ties
course, of
to
course.
Israel are all about religion
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
this
You're right.
illusion that it is this sacred land that we must somehow protect.
Right.
It's this Judeo-Christian idea
It's the Holy
that the
Land.
land itself is more valuable than human lives.
Well, that's because that's where God's going to come back, and if you don't control it, then He's not going to pick
Right.
you or something, I guess, right?
So, and is there a chance, though, that we are being controlled through our religion as well?
Oh yes, everyone's
You think?
controlled through their religion, even if it's a self-control. Everyone's controlled through religion, except for those who I suppose don't partake. But then maybe they're being controlled negative, not negatively, passively, not passively, indirectly, right? Yes.
Culturally, still
Yeah.
perhaps. I mean, we all exist within culture.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's some atheists that are still very pro-Israel.
Oh yes, probably so.
All things to think about. We will wait and see how this progresses. I feel confident Iran will retaliate in
Oh
one way
yes.
or another.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
it is foolish, foolish of Americans to think that they won't.
Yep. Yep.
And
Well,
when they
is anyone
retaliate, I'm sure
thinking they
we
will?
will retaliate in kind. Pardon?
Yeah. Is anyone thinking that they're not going to retaliate? I mean, they said they will.
Uh, I mean, they're trying to say, oh, they're trying to tell Iran, yes, we've
Hmm.
hit you. Do not hit us back.
Right.
You'll regret that.
But they've said
Right.
that they're going to.
Sure. They absolutely have said they're going to retaliate.
Yeah. Does
And
anybody believe that they won't?
I doubt it. I doubt
Yeah.
it. And the Trump regime just got us into another war. And
Yeah.
because it's the Middle East, this could become a world war. I mean, as other countries become embroiled,
Yeah.
including our allies,
Yeah. Yeah. It could easily start to spread.
yeah,
Yeah.
we could be in a mess.
Yeah.
So I keep hoping every time we have these discussions that they're alarmist.
Yeah.
They keep proving not to be
Yeah.
over and over
Things
again.
keep going crazier and crazier.
I keep being optimistic. Sometimes there has to be a courage
Mm.
to be optimistic.
Yeah.
But I keep tapping back on my optimism
Mm,
that not only the American public, but the people of the world will
mm,
say enough is enough.
yeah.
We're not going to do this anymore.
Yeah. See, I have these same hopes. I really I think that people can be capable of great things, and all you have to do is just try. But we just don't try. And so I'm hopeful because I think I understand our potential. And I know not everybody's crazy, not everyone's bad. Like, there's a lot of good people out there. So I'm hopeful. And yet at the
Yeah.
same time, I'm also kind of realistic and I'm doubtful at the same time.
Well, history tells us what humans are like, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
gives us something to look back and go, oh yeah,
yeah.
these were still humans. They continue to act in these ways. But I
And we're
do believe we get
still,
better generationally. I think each
yes, I
generation
think we
gets a
do
little
too.
better.
I think we do too. But I think we're still falling prey to these very simple and obvious lies, things that like greed is good. Like of course it's not. Like that should not be celebrated. It should not be something you work towards. You need to just get enough for yourself to be happy, and then that's enough. Just like stop. You don't have to keep
Right.
taking from everyone else. So
I wonder if a global currency would solve some of these problems.
I don't think currency is the solution. Just because maybe like the original concept of currency was probably not to make sure that a few could get as much as possible from everyone else. But I think it very quickly turned in that direction. And then since then, just through gradual refinement of trying to distill money at the top, it's become a very efficient system at distilling money at the top. And so I don't think currency in any form is probably going to be the solution to this.
But we would stop having like national fights over dominance of currency. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, but I don't think that those fights are very much more than just like bragging rights. Like there are some things that you can do to weaponize currency for sure and affect other people in a negative way at administrative levels. But even those are still somewhat limited in their long term and there are ways that people can get around them. So I don't know. Currency I don't think is a very good weapon unless it's being used to buy weapons. But I think that it is something that has had a very negative impact on humanity.
Yeah. I mean, I certainly don't think that it is the cure to human foibles, but it
Mm.
might be one less thing to fight
So,
for
yeah.
dominance over, right?
Well,
So
yeah.
like
We
talking
can
about
start
one of the
small.
reasons, right?
Let's move to
One of the
Bitcoin.
reasons we're in. I'm sorry, say that again.
Let's move to Bitcoin. Right, right. It'll just be one less thing to have to worry about, I guess, and that's okay. Let's
Isn't
do
there a
that.
limit to limited supply of Bitcoin? I don't know how far can
Well,
that go?
no, they manage the supply of Bitcoin in order to keep the value high.
Value high. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't know enough about
based on a
cryptocurrency.
it's based on a timer of sorts. You have
Right.
to expend so many resources in order to acquire so many Bitcoin. So
Yeah.
to keep it value.
Well, to be honest, even the US dollar now is essentially as valuable as any other currency, which means
Yeah.
not valuable only
Yeah.
because it's not based on a gold standard anymore. It's not based on a
Right.
standard of something that can be purchased with that piece of paper.
Right. No,
You
it's all
can't.
speculation.
Yeah, yeah,
It has value because people think it has value. It's
because
just like the
we
stock market.
agree that it does.
Right.
Exactly.
It's the
And
stock
it's a way of
market. It's
transferring the
gambling.
energy of, right.
Yeah.
And it transfers, it's a transfer of energy in essence,
Yeah.
meaning
Or
like
time.
I will give you my energy of doing this job if you give me this
Right.
energy of symbolic, paycheck.
Right. Right. Which I can then turn
So
around and use to get what I
buy
need.
food or yeah,
Yeah.
pay for my house or whatever.
Right. Or my 100th
So
yacht.
yeah. Or that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay, John, we will sit and watch and see what occurs. Let's hope
Yeah.
that saner heads might prevail. I don't think we have any sane heads in charge here in the United States. So it's going to
Yeah.
have to be somebody else, I think. that
Yeah.
helps to sort this out.
Well, I thought it was gonna be my generation. That didn't work out.
Please, not yet. You're not dead yet, John.
That's true. That's true. But
It could happen yet.
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Well, till next time, let's keep an eye on the skies and pray that we can find peace.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right.
If you enjoyed this content, please hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications.